America today. It's a historic day in a good way, in a bad way. I hope you guys are having a great Thursday, Friday Eve. We're going to talk about this in a very, very legal way and not cause any divisiveness. There's a lot of divisiveness out there. You see the title, you see the thumbnail. An American president today was convicted of 34 counts. And yeah, this is very interesting. I'm going to be open with you guys before we get into it because, of course, we have our normal agenda. I'm going to see who we have in the building. This is a pretty serious topic. So I do want to approach it with not sensitivity, but with a little bit of somberness. And also, I do want to approach it with a level of not confidence, but I just want you guys to see what our justice system has, where it is today in 2024. This is what it is. This is what we're talking about, guys. I have the verdict sheet. Let me blow it up. What does this verdict sheet say? It says the people of this state of New York against one, Donald J. Trump as a defendant, as of today or yesterday, May 29th. We have a check on guilty across the board, signed today, across the board. You see all those check marks? We're going to talk about these check marks. We're going to talk about each of these counts. We're going to talk about it, what it means as an American, but also for other people that are watching from other countries. And before we dive into it, just want to hit you on a personal level. I had to go up to my room because I'll be honest, guys, I start bar exam boot camp on Monday. I need to pack up this whole damn house in 24 hours. I did not plan to stream today, but this is such a history-breaking moment that I needed to do it. A lot of people keep special books by them. Some people like to read before they go to bed. And one of them that a lot of people don't know this about me. This is what I keep on my nightstand. The Constitution of the United States of America. See that gold? This is a beautiful book. One of my exes actually gave this to me. It's such a beautiful book. I'm like, oh my God. You open it and look. It reminds us of things that matter. Intentions. And yes, I know it's a lot of old white men, and that's fine. We're all one race on this channel. We don't care about that. But it reminds you of ideals. Separation of powers. One body of government does not supersede the other. And me and my editor, we were actually in the middle of working on a longer form video. That did take a little bit of research. I polled my audience on this. It's not too late. If you, after this stream, you're going to want to participate. Go to my community tab. I asked you guys about lawfare, what it means, especially in an election year, and what it means to you in particular. Really wanted to take our time to build that video out. You still have time to go put your comments in there like this week because I'm about to go in. But like with all of this going on and what happened today, I really wanted to thoughtfully approach this. I didn't want to just hop on it like all these other content creators you're watching without giving you legal context, without actually thoughtfully talking about things that matter to both people on either side of the aisle. And I think that we are getting away from American ideals and it's starting to become tribalism. Lawfare is a very real thing. I want to talk about that a lot this year. And I welcome you guys to share your thoughts as well. As long as they're not like really crazy. As long as they're like fine, like you'll be okay. I'll represent you in your approach of lawfare. But we've been collecting and looking at those comments and actually curating our approach on what it means. So if you've been living under a rock, then you haven't heard that former President Donald Trump was convicted of 34 counts today. I've been covering this on my channel a little bit lightly. We've been going more in on the Fani Willis stuff, but we've been covering it lightly here because number one, this trial is not televised. Judge Merchan has had his shenanigans with Trump. We know that there was a situation with the daughter before we even went into this trial. Trump's legal team has been battling a lot of motions. They tried to disqualify this, and there was a point where he couldn't even go to Barron's like graduation. Now, when I talk like that, people from the other side that actually believe that he is fully guilty of this, they have their, everybody has their right to their opinion, but they're kind of like, it's not fair. Like, why are you taking one side? He did these things. But when I hold this thing next to me, gilded, it's not real gold, but imagine if this was gold. And instead of us all fighting over small things, not even small, things that compared to the foundations and the fundamentals, it's a very important day in American history. There's 186 of you in here right now. Do me a favor, hit the like button. The algorithm, I'll be honest, is not going to push this shit out. Sorry for those that don't like when I swear. It's not going to push it out. It's not pushing it out anywhere. All the people that jumped out on the news, even their streams they're not performing. Why would we want this to perform well globally? This does not make the country look good. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. So the 200 of us that are in here right now are going to actually have an intellectual conversation. I'm not going to just pull up a news article and read it to you. You could do that yourself. We're going to talk about law. We're going to talk about what happened here. We're going to talk about what these counts are. I think I was one of the only people. And we're going to look at Instagram too. Sorry, I'm a millennial. But we're going to look at Instagram too, because I believe in April, I showed you guys one, Stormy Daniels, that wanted to launch a documentary. What was it? 2 days before this trial started. Michael Cohen on TikTok. I don't have time to talk about that because I literally need to pack this house. So we're going to do an hour together of intellectual conversation. I think we can all agree on that. If you can agree on that, do me a favor. Drop an American flag in the chat. Just do that. I don't care what side you're on. Drop a flag in the chat. I think we can agree to do that. All right. Let me see who we have in the building. We're going to need that was cute candle, so I'm going to light it in a second. Who was first today? Shout out to my personal name is hidden. Who is the first person in the chat today who says, I'm waiting for some small town to indict Alvin Bragg on something trumped up. Good for the goose, good for the gander. I mean, we'll see. Chi-Town's Finest is in here who says, wishing you a great show. What's going on? They're not letting me click off of that one. There it is. Okay. EC is in here as well. Good to see you. E. Capone is in here. I don't know how to say that. Milama is in here. They're just being low and dirty. She's in here. Dolores is here as well. She says Arizona is in the house. Trump is innocent, right? So I know. Hi, Debbie. I know everyone's going to have their opinions on this one, but we're going to do it. Coach B says, what? No way. Is Georgia next? And this is kind of why I want to play it down. Not a neutral. I want to play it down an American standpoint, an American jurisprudence standpoint, right? Jurisprudence, law. There are going to be a lot of people that disagree with this opinion. I'm going to show you some of those opinions. And there are going to be some people that agree with the opinion. But you also have to remember this is one of many lawsuits against a president, but this is in one state. Okay? It is very likely, and as your resident Bostonian, you bet your ass this shit's already up on its way to appeal and on its way to the Supreme Court. We actually have one of the Trump cases in front of the Supreme Court next week. There's a lot happening in the law, guys. We have an opinion going up in front of SCOTUS next week, and we're expecting a decision regarding executive immunity next week. Does that mean something that's good for Republicans and Democrats in the future? Because remember, this is all playing out now, but it's important for all of us in the future, right? So again, that's why I'm like, let's stand on jurisprudence today. Let's not stand on what the result was, because there's all types of opinions out there. But I do think this is a very serious day for democracy. It's a very serious day, not for politics, but for law. So as a legal scholar, I take this extremely seriously. Extremely. It is not a mistake that on my constitutional law exam 2-3 years ago, I told a few of you guys, do you know what was on that final exam as a fact pattern that we needed to noodle as potential lawyers? Trump's tweets. And if they were protected by the First Amendment, and depending on who posted them, if the poster was protected by the First Amendment, this issue of executive privilege has been out there for a while. Now, again, guys, I have the document here. I have what the jury has said here. We have all the counts right here. We're going to walk through it. I even have the original indictment to walk through all 34 counts. But before we do that, I want to make sure that we do this thoughtfully. You have your choice to go to any channel to talk about this, but you're here with me. You're here with me. So Coach B, thank you so much. We see what's happening in Georgia. I really want to talk about lawfare because I think it's a thing. I think it's a thing. So that being said, I'm going to get to supers in a moment, guys. If you're joining me right now, then you see what's on the screen. You see a verdict sheet. I'm going to go ahead and shout out our sponsor of today's episode, and that is Chalkboard Candle. We're going to need that was cute candle, right? That was cute. It's a Fannie Willis term. We made a joke out of it. I worked with Chalkboard Candle, a Minnesota company, hand-poured, coconut wax. They support local teachers. A big amount of their proceeds go back to local teachers. You can purchase these candles on their website. And again, Chalkboard, think of the name. They're giving back to teachers. I like to do things with purpose and a cause. So if I'm ever going to promote any product or service on this platform, it's really going to be for a cause. Check them out. The link should be in the description. If you don't see it right now, we'll do it after the stream ends. I'm lighting that candle because I support American businesses. Now, let's get into this. I don't even want to waste time. So going back to what we just saw on the screen, I'm going to bring it up a little bit closer so we can all read it. This is the document. I have it at 200x right now. That came out a few hours ago. And this is the Supreme Court of the state of New York. This is the indictment number. This is Justice Merchan's name here. This was written yesterday. Again, these are all of the crimes. And this is the jury verdict sheet against Donald Trump for the Stormy Daniels hush money case. Now, we're going to gently scroll because there's 3 pages to this document. There are 34 counts on this document. It was not expected to be returned today. We had closing arguments and the jury started in deliberation yesterday. Now, we assumed that they were going to need another day. They didn't finish yesterday. We thought that they were going to need an entire day today to deliberate. And at the tail end of the day, around 4 p.m. Eastern, almost 5, Judge Merchan was going to adjourn for the day. And right before he did, we got notice that this jury all of a sudden came to a conclusion. A few minutes before, they had reported that they were not ready for a conclusion. So this is the document that they submitted in court. These are all of the counts. Count number 1, falsifying business records in the first degree. And as I go through this, guys, I want you to notice that it says invoice numbers and voucher numbers. This either means invoices that are like Michael Cohen, like, hey, Trump organization, pay me. And where it says voucher is where they got paid. So we have 34 counts of this. I would actually probably slash it in half, but this is like legit. Every count is a transaction. So count number 1, falsifying business records in the first degree. We have an invoice for $70,000 dated 2/14/17. They found him guilty. They checked that off. Business records in the first degree, voucher, $35,000. That's a check. Check that off. The next one, voucher, $35,000. Check that off. So that looks like it satisfies the 70. Do you see how those 3 transactions are one count? Do you see that? I want you guys to pay attention to that. So as we go through these counts, notice that if you really think about an action in itself of, okay, falsifying business records maybe should fall under just one count, but notice that they are putting every single transaction as one count in the great state of New York. Let's continue. Falsifying business records, there's a check here, right, for $70,000. So you have an invoice, a voucher, and a check. You have an invoice, a voucher, and a check, right? All for this $35,000. So if we go through counts 5, 6, and 7, it's probably related to the same transaction. If you go through count 8, you have an invoice, a voucher, and a check. It's probably related. These 3 right here are probably related to the same transaction. Notice you see checks on all 3. Let's go to the next one. Falsifying business records in the first degree. Invoice, voucher. Oh. And a check. Same thing. That's 3, right? So you go from 11, 12, and 13, probably one transaction. Let's go to the 14, 15, and 16. Invoice, voucher, check, $35,000. 14, 15, 16. Let's look at 17, 18, and 19. Invoice, voucher, check, $35,000. 20, 21, 22. Invoice, voucher, check. If you guys are not typing that in the chat, I mean, how? 34 counts? Is it really 34? Invoice, voucher, check, 20, 21, 22. Great state of New York. 23, 24, 25. Invoice, voucher, check. Counts number 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Invoice, voucher, check. 35,000. Guilty, guilty, guilty. 29. Invoice, voucher, check. 35,000. 32, 33, 34. Invoice, voucher, check. That's your verdict sheet for President of the United States. Invoice, voucher, check. Now, again, everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone is entitled to what they think. I have seen a few super chats. I'm going to read it, but I just want you, in the spirit of the law, to remember those words. There are people that have been committed of lesser crimes for check fraud and things. But just as a legal scholar myself and heading to bar exam boot camp on Monday, the words invoice, voucher, and check are ingrained in my mind now. I don't know if it's like that for you, but because we all like some tea, we're going to go into Donald Trump's Instagram page. I've learned to not go to Truth Social. Like Truth Social is he kind of owns it. So, I am going to go to Instagram because I did see a pretty cool reel that came out. I think it's cool, from a PR and communications background. I'm not picking a side because when I do, you guys get all crazy in comments. I thought this was cool because it showed that his team had prepared for whatever the verdict was going to be, whether it was guilty or whether it was not guilty, and they have been preparing for that for the coming weeks, right? There is still a campaign going. I am also looking at the agenda. I just realized I got so into that invoice voucher check thing, I didn't go through the agenda with you. I did tell you guys that the algorithm is not going to promote this, so please do me a favor and give me a like. We did the candle thing. We're going to go through some Instagram posts real quick from the aspect of a millennial. I'm also going to show you Donald Trump's responses from today. And then I want to pull up the original indictment so we can see what the facts of the matter are. I will tell you this. I do want to go to Stormy Daniels' Instagram page to see if that post is still up when she said she was going to do a documentary that was launching 2 or 3 days before he went to this trial. And do you guys remember when I showed you a clip of who was in a picture with Stormy Daniels? Do you guys remember, what is her name? Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin, who as a millennial, I remember her being on Jeffree Star's channel and Shane Dawson's channel and hanging out with YouTubers half her age trying to get her character back up after this incident with Donald Trump happened. And it was so funny to me. We're going to go to Stormy's channel, or not even her channel, sorry. We're going to go to her Instagram page to see if that photo is still up, because 2 or 3 days before this trial started, the two of them were in a photo together at Stormy's launch party for her documentary. So, lot to cover, but let's go to the Don's Instagram page. And I was like, I didn't even know Donald Trump had an Instagram page. He has one. And so we're going to look at what the team posted today. And I thought it was a pretty cool ad. We're going to check it out. This was posted immediately after the verdict came out. And we also do have a second reel, which is right next to it, that's actually going to show what his comments were, responding to the news of the day. So why don't we start with this? This is a campaign ad. I am just letting people know, if that's not your speed, you might want to dip out right now. But we'll check it out just out of curiosity and go from there.
Thank you for joining us here today. Earlier this afternoon, Donald Trump was arraigned by a Manhattan grand jury on 34 felony counts.
This case is an abomination. It's obviously political. 7 years to try to come up with this case. They're just wrong on the law.
The only crime that Donald Trump is being prosecuted for is the crime of running for president.
Political persecution at the highest level.
They've quite frankly given up on trying to beat him at the polls. Either going to steal it or stop it by law firm.
A Democrat prosecutor elected on a Get Trump platform.
What's going on here is a disgusting disgrace. It is war on Trump. It is war on the Republican Party. And it is a war on the Republic.
This case is the weakest case I've seen in 60 years of teaching, practicing, and writing about criminal law.
I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
This judge, I mean, you don't need a prosecutor if you have a judge like this. This judge is not on the level.
It's a terrible case, but the judge has been pretty much a rubber stamp on everything that Bragg has wanted to do.
They're perverting the system of justice. You know, that's where the danger lies. The corruption and subversion of our institutions by the left.
This is the Democrats' entire strategy, to confine President Trump to a dirty criminal courtroom and keep him off the campaign trail where he can bring his winning message to voters across this country.
New York has become a legal banana republic. They are so determined to get Donald Trump.
Look, convicting Donald Trump, that's all they have.
I think they have no cards, and they're depending upon Trump getting convicted.
That Trump train doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
The only verdict that matters is the verdict at the ballot box.
So I think we can infer that the Trump team has prepared for whatever decision was going to come out of this trial, and they were still going to campaign regardless. Because one thing that you guys need to know, and I will go into the legality of it, of what it means. He is going to be, he's going to face some sentencing in July. And that just sounds weird to say, that a president is going to be sentenced for a crime. We haven't talked about these things since the days of Richard Nixon. You know, we haven't talked about presidents being in major cases since Bush v. Gore, which is actually in the constitutional law book there. You know, so there have been others. You know, we've had the whole Obamacare case. We've had some major social issues that have come up to the Supreme Court. But when it comes to the branches of government, and I'm so excited, guys, because me going back up to Boston, it's actually going to allow me to take you on tour with me with a camera, taking this camera out of the studio and bringing you back to our roots. Bringing you to the Boston Harbor where we've seen the Tea Party, bringing you to some historic places, bringing this camera to Paul Revere's house, bringing this camera to places where George Washington has fought, like, sorry, UK people, but like has fought the British. These are places where I grew up in Boston, and that history means something. So in an election year, as a creator and as a legal scholar, I think I can do one thing for both sides, and that's to bring us back to our American roots. Let's take a quick super chat break, and then I will bring you to President Trump's reactions today following the news. Let's see who we have in the building. Shout out to D, who's in here, who says Banana Republic, and it's a dangerous precedent. It is. D, if you and I had children, and if our children went to law school 25 years from now, our children would be reading about this case. That's how precedent works, folks. So thank you so much, D, for starting us off tonight. And thank you so much for the super chat. Super generous. He's here in almost every stream. And, you know, D, I respect your opinions. You always have some really thoughtful remarks to add to the conversation. So thank you so much. Shout out to the Standard of Truth podcast. And let me bring that down. Sorry, that was a little loud, guys. Standard of Truth podcast, content creator, a sister to this channel. She is more on the religious side. She is a Christian, and I appreciate her takes on things. She says, thank you for your commitment to the law and for trying to unify us on the basis of truth. You are a gem, pretty girl. Thank you so much, Standard of Truth podcast. Beautiful family, great mom, great wife. You know, I appreciate what she has to add to the conversation on the platform, but she does pop into these political discussions from time to time. So I'm so happy to see her on my side, and I hope you are doing well. If any of my mods are hanging around, if you can drop the Standard of Truth podcast link to her channel so people could check it out, that would be great. Thank you so, so much. Shout out to EC, member for a month. She says, like the video chat, much love to all opinions. That's right, guys. As you're popping in, just drop an American flag in the chat. Over here, we don't care about race. We don't care about divisive politics. It is really just a spot for discussion. And whatever side of the aisle you're on, this is not, like, I'm going to be honest. Let me show it. Share screen one more time. This is not funny. This document that came up today is not funny. I don't think an indictment of a president is funny. I don't think any of this is funny. It's actually, to be honest with you guys, it's alarming. Lawfare is alarming. We're going to talk about that this summer. I'm going to go in on lawfare, but this is not funny. What if we had a Democrat in the future and an opposing party just wanted to just hit them with a ton of lawsuits? That's not what these branches of government are designed to do. You have an executive branch that's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. You have a legislative branch that's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. And you have a judicial branch that's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. These three bodies are separate. That's why we left the UK. We didn't want a king. This is why we did it. This is why veterans in this country have lost their lives and limbs. Oh, y'all gonna get me in. I'm not gonna do it. Don't get me talking about veterans. Ooh, don't you do it. Thank you, EC. Thank you. Hi, Star. Thank you so much. She drops $20.99 with 3 American flags. Yes, sis. This is what we're all about over here. That is what we're all about. Thank you so much, Star. Looking beautiful in that photo. And thank you so much for the generous super chat. Hope you're doing well. D is back with another $2. He says, good luck on the bar, AV7. Yeah, man. This was too important for me to not study tonight. I really planned on packing this house up, opening a book and studying. But I was like, this is too important of a day for me to not talk to you guys. So thank you so much for being here, D. Audrey, she sends $9.99. She says it's been a crazy day to see it. It has been. It has. It doesn't matter what color you are, what state you're in, what your political views are. You are witnessing American history today. And you were alive to see it. You can tell your grandkids about this in 50, 60 years if you're around for that long. But no matter what, if you have grandkids, if you don't, you'll be able to remember this day. Right? So, Audrey, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for the super. Shout out to a real Leo who says, I appreciate you breaking this down from an intellectual point of view. Get him, 87. Much love. Thank you so much, Leo. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for the $4.99 and the well wishes. I hope you're doing good too, Shout out to Erie, says AP7 preaching. Y'all listen, when I get really into just law, I can't tell you how many days. Man, can I pull it up? It might actually be in here. I bought this iPad when I started law school. The thousands of pages, the thousands of cases, especially constitutional law in itself. Oh my God. Oh yeah, they're here. They're all here. Writing, torts, contracts, legal reasoning, business entities, civil procedure, constitutional law. Oh my gosh. I really suffered through this stuff, guys. And most attorneys are not going to tell you this because by the time they hit YouTube, they're not going to tell you the 3-4 years that it took to study this stuff. and know the difference between right and wrong and argue on whatever side you're on. Sometimes you'll have the losing side. Sometimes you'll actually be on the side of wrong and still have to argue that, or argue against something you may not personally, morally believe in. It's crazy. But I think with the branches of government, at least if you leave the stream with anything, this is not a politically divisive channel. Leave with the fact that we're supposed to have three and they're supposed to have functions. But what we are seeing is the judicial branch, and it's not necessarily judges, but it's lawyers. You see the judicial branch fighting the executive branch, and that's not supposed to happen. It hasn't happened in 300 years. It's happening right now. It's happening today. So Erie, I appreciate you saying that, but like, that's the thing. I get super passionate about this stuff because I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. You know, so thank you so much, Erie. I really appreciate you. The One Lo-Fi, I think, has a channel. I thought I saw this on the lead attorney's chat last week. This might be a channel that does lo-fi music. I like these channels. I actually listen to these channels when I study. So it says, off topic, number 1, showing support. Number 2, I have to create an Asian-inspired lo-fi list for your trip. What trip? Did I talk about going on a trip? Oh, well, yeah, I'm driving. And here, you guys are going to love this. I'm driving from Atlanta. I was going to do a video called Why I'm Leaving Fulton County. I was actually, this was my plan. I was going to poll you guys on YouTube and on Instagram. Hey, doing a drive because I got to get my car up there for school. But I was going to ask you if you had any questions and just do videos as I was packing and spend my time with you doing that. But then the Trump verdict came in. So we're here. If you make that, that would be fantastic. If any of the mods can find the One Lo-Fi's channel and share it, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. The One Lo-Fi became a member after that. Thank you. E. Capone, no comment, no question, pure love of the game. $4.99. Good to see you, E. Capone. SC Dog fan drops $20 and says, as an American, I demand Bill Clinton get the same justice. Well, see, this is a good point, guys. Because here's the thing. When you do it to one, do we make it a mandate to do it to all? You know, my editor and I just put something out yesterday on the Diddy thing, and that's actually really what I worked hard on this morning, was a Diddy video, because we'll talk about that, but he's going to be going in front of a grand jury. Is bad. So with the Diddy thing, you have all of that happening, right? And I thought about this with SC's point, because one of the reasons why Diddy's kind of like effed right now is not only because of the Cassie thing and the video that we all saw a week and a half ago, but the other thing that came out with the Diddy thing was this woman. There was 2 lawsuits last week. Lawsuit number 1 was from a model, and she wore some special clothing, like, fur coat or something, and some bedazzled pants. Now, dear viewer, you probably don't own a pair of bedazzled pants. I don't, right? So if you have them, they're pretty special. And you know how, like, when you go to the dry cleaners, like, they'll usually put like a bag over it, or they'll preserve your shirt or whatever you just got laundered. This woman kept the pants that Puffy jizzed on and did not get the clothing laundered, because, I mean, how can you if they're bedazzled? How does that feel when you sit on them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have bedazzled jeans, and that seems a little uncomfortable. So she kept the pants, did not get them laundered, instead preserved his DNA for 30 years. it kind of reminds us of the Lewinsky thing. Then Hillary ran for president. The plot thickens. So, SC has a point. But I think we need to look at it like whatever the law of the land is, it needs to apply to everyone. And I know, I can feel it in my bones. There's going to be people, because I read the comments. We analyze data very well here. There are going to be the people that are like, well, how come you're not giving the same energy to Fannie Willis? Because that's a shit show. I mean, come on. Nate, I just put out a video yesterday. Data doesn't lie. We saw Sellhawk. We saw what Nathan was doing. I don't even want to get into that. But if we are going to make a mandate in this country that corruption is not a thing, whether you're on the Dem side or the Republican side, is just not going to happen. That needs to apply to everybody at all times. But I do think, and I'm not saying a president should be special. They kind of should, though. But I do think when it comes to the branches of government, there needs to be some special treatment for that. As a president, you command our troops for the entire nation. Air Force, Navy, Army. This is the most powerful person in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the most powerful person in the world. If a random state out of 50, because there's 50, if a random state was like, hey, we want to, imagine, this is going to sound bad. Don't hate me, Puerto Rico. Imagine if somebody in Puerto Rico got pissed that Trump did the paper towel joint. It's not funny, but the paper towel joint. If someone got really offended that he did that and was like, oh my God, maybe it's against First Amendment rights or something along those lines. If anybody could just have the power to sue this guy whenever they want and take Trump out of it, to sue a president whenever they want, it's a serious matter. And to convict them, I don't know, maybe we just need like a special way to prosecute presidential issues. Who knows? Now I sound like a millennial. I'm going way into like La La Land. Shout out to High Value Man, who is a stream sponsor. Look, can you guys type his name in the chat, please? Type HVM in the chat. He drops $100. He says, sad day indeed. Regardless where you align yourself in the political spectrum. Yeah, guys, please type HVM in the chat. He's sponsoring today's stream. And again, I know I'm rambling. I've been on here for 43 minutes. I really want to see what President Trump has to say, but I just wanted to jump in with you guys and have some dialogue about this and see what you all think too, because it's not just what I think as a YouTuber. Like what I say, word is bond. This is a collective as a country, and I'm very curious about what you all's thoughts are as well. You know, like how is this impacting you? And not only your viewpoints, but like, you know, if you're a resident of the state of New York, what do you think? Let us know. So the stream sponsor right now, I typed stream sponsor is HVM. And again, for you guys that have typed HVM in the chat, that is amazing. If you haven't yet, please do that for me. He doesn't have to be here. He is one of my biggest supporters. And, you know, again, I can't do this stuff without him because he's sponsoring so many different projects that I'm working on. But like, you know, I look at you guys as shareholders and I want you to see where your money is going when you donate to this channel. So HVM, thank you so much for being a stream sponsor. I'm entirely grateful and for being here for every single stream. Thanks again. And again, it's been a crazy week on the lawsuit side. I'm not touching that. James is here and it says, I was pissed at the verdict. He was pissed. But AV, you always make me smile. That's good. And again, collective space for all of us to come whenever we want to air our grievances and talk. Last week there was like, what did I get? I had 1,000 people in the chat just showing a Georgia congressional hearing. They didn't care about me. They were just here to watch that. So that was fun. Now, I have caught up on supers, and thank you guys so much for dropping all of your comments in the chat. So many creators are in here, so many American flags. I'm seeing you guys like, oh, look, Valhalla's in here. So many people are in here. You know, I'm seeing a lot of familiar names, and I love seeing the American flags because that's at least what we can all identify with, at least. Okay. Now that we've talked about that, I want to go to Trump's statement for the day, and then I want to go back to the original document with the indictment, talk a little bit about grand juries, how you can hail somebody into court, give you guys a little bit of legal game when it comes to that, and what the next steps are, more importantly, because this is absolutely going to be appealed if it has not either been drafted already. You know, we say in the law a lot of times that the lawyer is kind of the executor, but you as a client are in charge. That means that we can give you ideas on legal strategy, but the yes or the no, the final answer comes from you. So of course, his lawyers are going to give him some particular strategies that they think would be useful. But I think if this legal team is advising a president, that they're probably going to see around the corner and look into the future too. So they either had to have someone in the office, one of the attorneys, prepare for if the case went favorably, right? But also prepare a appeal in the event that it did not go favorably. Because if the sentencing is now scheduled in July, that means that, you know, that's also going to be a pretty sad day in American history, is to see a president sentenced for crimes. We're going to watch that. Well, we're not going to watch it because this trial isn't televised to protect the jurors. But even at sentencing hearings, a lot of times what happens at sentencing hearings is victim impact statements. Can we expect a Stormy Daniels impact statement? Can we see the crazy CEO from that company, the National Enquirer? Remember when I talked to y'all about the National Enquirer and how much of a shit place that is? And I say that respectfully, but you know, I come from PR and media for a bank though, you know, like, you know, I worked for the CEO. So when he would get in trouble and go to Capitol Hill, like, your girl was writing what he was going to say, and we would get it to him 2 or 3 weeks in advance. So we're like, all right, we anticipate that this senator is going to say this to you. We anticipate that these people are going to ask you these 4 questions. So we're going to prep you with bullet points and prep you on the facts, so that way you can go into there confidently. And even if they catch you and trip you up, we're even going to prepare for that. That's what I do. I have 10 years experience in that. And then in the spare time, I go to law school. You know, so I really love watching how people react in negative scenarios, but also positive scenarios too. It's very telling. So let's go back to Trump on his Instagram feed. And I want to show what they're showing to the audience. So that first one that I showed you guys had about 1 million views. Right now he's at 5.8 million. And this, I believe, is the press conference immediately following the verdict. So why don't we all watch that together? And Casa, thank you so much for the comment. I'm going to take you down for a minute and let's watch this one.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a sore respect DA, and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
All right, that's it. That was his statement for the day. So, that was immediately following this. For reporters that were in the room, it has been reported that he did not immediately have a reaction when they read out the guilty verdicts. I will be honest, I did think that he was going to get not guilty on some of these. But after I read that document to you guys, you all saw it. The way that it was set up, it's 34 counts. But remember, even if we divide 34 by 3, 34 divided by 3, because remember, you saw, what did I say? It was invoice, check, something else. I forgot what it was off the top of my head. But that would be 11. That means that it's 11.3, so we can round it up to 11 checks. One of the presidents of your country has just been convicted of 11 checks, writing 11 checks. What the checks were for is a different story. And we can go into Tucker Carlson's TikTok. Why he was TikToking during a trial is crazy to me, when you can't even live stream the trial to the public. But again, this is why you should like the video, because YouTube is suppressing it. They don't want people to see this coverage from a legal standpoint. I'm not going to go in on Tucker because I don't have time tonight. And, I got to get up to Boston this weekend. So I'm not going to go in on that. But let us do this. Let us look at the indictment again and show the facts that the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, put together against Trump, right? And what is New York asking for? This is the original document. I'm going to bring it all the way back to the end. This is the indictment, when it was filed. I want to look at the exact date. So we have Alvin Bragg signing down here. When was it filed? It's so weird. It doesn't show it on here. Let me just look for a date in the corner. Yeah, they don't have it on here. But let's keep going to the top. This is the original document. And this is all about falsifying business records. And it's really related to these checks. Going to the top. Do we have a date on this side? No, they don't date stuff, I guess, in New York. Anywho, let's read it. It says the grand jury, and I'll make myself small. Thank you so much, Islet. Shout out to Cape Verde. Shout out to Cabo Verde. The grand jury of New York, and by this indictment, accuses the defendant of falsifying business records in the first degree in violation of Penal Law 17-17510, and committed as follows. These are the facts, guys. This is what they're charging him for. The defendant in the county of New York and elsewhere on or about February 14th of 2017, with the intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof, made and cause a false entry in business records of an enterprise. To wit, an invoice from Michael Cohen dated February 14th, 2017. Now, guys, we're in 2024. This document that we are already starting off with is 7 years old. This document that we're in court for and using New York taxpayer resources for they're 7 years old. When this indictment happened, Donald Trump was in the White House. He was he was doing work. He was in the White House working. February 14th, that means that he was in office, in fact, for 2 months, a month and a half. Okay. They said that this record was of the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust and kept and maintained by the Trump Organization. Okay. Now, that was the first degree there. Let's talk about the second count. This is when he was in front of a grand jury. This is when this case was in front of a grand jury. And the grand jury also said, by this indictment, further accuses the defendant of the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree, in violation again. Here's how he did that. The defendant in the county of New York or elsewhere on or about February 14th, with the intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime, did aid and conceal the commission thereof, made and cause a false entry of business records, an entry to the detailed ledger for Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, bearing voucher number 842457, and kept and maintained by the Trump Organization. So what's the difference between that paragraph and the previous paragraph? Remember I told you guys about the differences between invoices. So here we have an invoice. Here we have a voucher number. And when we talk about the voucher number, that's like your books. That's your books. That's your records of you maintaining when someone is paid and when an invoice is made. So difference between paragraph 1 is that there is an invoice and now you have a ledger. What do you think is going to be in paragraph 3? A check, right? And let's see what they have. I'm not going to repeat a lot of it, but they say that again, he caused a false entry of business records of an enterprise, an entry of the general ledger for the revocable trust. It looks like it's another voucher, 842460. All right, so you see this? 842457. That's the first one. The third one is 842460. So, as I continue to read this, what's the common theme? Invoice, voucher, check. Invoice, voucher, check. Normal businesses do this every single day, right? But they're saying that he falsified his own business records because that money was being moved to pay off Stormy Daniels through Michael Cohen. He would request an invoice. They would keep a voucher, cut a check. All right. So this whole thing is it's just interesting that if you really look at the bare bones of what this lawsuit is actually about, invoice, voucher, check. Fourth count, we see the same thing. False entry of business records. Now there's a check and a check stub dated on February 14th, bearing the check number 138 and kept and maintained by the Trump Organization. So the first 3-4 counts, and I read them all to you guys. The fact that a jury just scrolled down and was like, check, 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 check. They just checked it all off because it really is just invoice, vouchers, and checks. You're asking you're not asking these people to do much, and they don't want to be there. If they have jobs in New York City, they're probably getting paid really good money. They've been in trial in this jury panel for like a month and a half since early April, mid-April. So they've been away from their jobs and their families, and they're sitting in court every day, and court is boring as hell. It is boring. I had to do it to study, to watch. It was not fun. Imagine if you're a prisoner and you're sitting there waiting for your turn to be called. Like, court is not fun for 8 hours a day, just sitting there listening to things all day. I don't know how judges do it. But these people were there for over 20, 30 business days. He missed Barron's graduation. Did he miss it or did he actually go? I don't know. So let's go on. Going back to the fifth count, same thing. This is an invoice from Michael Cohen. And it was transmitted on March 16th, right? And there was a record for the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust maintained by the Trump Organization. Do you know what's so crazy about this? Do you guys think that he was keeping these books himself? If he was in the White House, was he keeping these books himself? Was he actually cutting it? He didn't have time. This whole thing makes my head hurt. It should make your head hurt too. What if it's you? What if you were a president and this is how easy it is? How easy it is for a state to come at you. The commander of the free world. Sixth count. In this indictment, same thing. Falsifying business records in the first degree, right? And then there's a false entry of business records to an enterprise. Same thing. Ledger. DJT, revocable trust. And there's a voucher. Here's another voucher. Are we going to get a check soon? Let's go to the seventh count. Seventh count is a check. I can't do it. I'm not. We've been going about an hour, guys. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. This is so terrible for our country. You know, like I can understand if there was probably a lot more evidence. Stormy on the stand, Michael Cohen on the stand, Judge Merchan yelling at Trump. All that stuff has been going on for a month. But for my children, I don't know, maybe I bear a son that goes to law school in 30 years and I'm in my 60s and 70s. My son's going to be reading about this in his law books. And he's going to remember invoice, voucher, check. That's what this is about. Let me just check the supers real quick. I'm going to head out, guys, because I really do need to pack this house and get some sleep. But I also just want to come to you guys in the chat to see how you feel about the opinion. So start to get your answers ready because I want to read those. Again, thank you to High Value Man and to James. Keyshawn is in here who says, as former AGs, Dem and Republic and prominent lawyers have all said no one else would have been charged with the crime. We know why Trump was the target. And this is why, also do me a huge favor, guys. When you have some time this weekend, I'll probably read it when I get back to Boston on Sunday or Monday. Let me know what you think about legal warfare, like the warfare thing and politicians using that against each other. This is, I'll be honest, this is dumb. This is dumb. This is so dumb. And if he did the thing with the porn star, I don't know when it happened. When did you do it? When did you do it, Don? And I think she testified and said that it actually happened. And maybe that's what swayed the jurors. And if they have proof that it happened, to corroborate her story. And there's transcripts. I haven't had time. I've been busy with this Fanny thing. I've been busy with the Diddy thing because you guys want me on that. I really haven't had time to dig into it. This is really frightening. Let me come to you guys in the chat. Edwin says AV loves the law, and I'm sure she is not good with this abuse. I mean, I can't even read it anymore, Edwin. I don't know. Hi, Anthony. How are you doing? Andy says he doesn't do GL coding. Ooh. Edwin says all 34 counts are statute expired misdemeanors. I don't want to get into that. Rhodes says you can indict a ham sandwich by, well, Diddy's in trouble, isn't he? Diddy is in trouble. You wrote, that is correct. Diddy's about to go in front of a grand jury, so this is going to be interesting. Andy says staff do that work if your bank reconciles the expenses is in the books. I mean, it is. Lala says he didn't see, got to get more and expand that mind to think. He didn't see, got to get out more and expand that mind. I don't know if Lala's being mean or not. Nick says, you really think he even had to do that to pay an, I don't know. Coming back to Andy, what staff would have known that from the invoice? Who paid the invoices? But that's my thing. It's like, he did not do, if he was in the White House in 2017, he was not minding the Trump organization. There was a person at a desk that was looking at these invoices and paying them. And, most companies have a board of directors and CEOs, and there's liability with corporations. I haven't had time to look at this. So again, I'm not going to go into it like that, but I'm just reacting to what we've seen today and how it is an issue. Okay, that's it. That is it. Thank you, Andy. He wasn't keeping... But and Mia's like, so business owners are not responsible for the expenses. But here's the thing, Mia, like business owners are, but if the Trump organization is a corporation, he's not solely responsible for it. Not by himself. There are others. And I think the CFO was bought into this as well. You guys are talking to each other. Author says your efforts make this a lot smoother. Thank you so much. Thank you, author. I'm trying my best. The hair helps sometimes. Like when I curl my hair, you guys seem to be nice to me. I think that happens sometimes. Faison. Okay, Faison actually has a good point. And I think that was the last thing on my agenda is just to tell you guys what's going on next. So we know that the sentencing is going to happen in July. So that's coming up. And then I got all distracted because I wanted to bring you guys my old law school books. Let me come back to YouTube. And yes, so we looked at the original indictment. We looked at his response. We know that Stormy Daniels, let's see if her Instagram is still current. I always like checking people's Instagram accounts out. Let's see if Stormy still has that post up. I want to show it to you guys. Here she is. She has a boyfriend. No, it's here. It's still up. After she testified. Y'all want to see it? Look at this. So we have posts. Is Kathy? Here's Kathy. Kathy Griffin is still up there. All right. What's the date on this? It says 9 weeks ago. March 21. So I noticed that. That's when we were getting ready for the trial. And then this one right here is what I was talking about. April 3rd at 7 p.m. This is her documentary called Being Outspoken is Not a Crime. She had a screening party in New Orleans on April 3rd at 7 p.m. There were some cool giveaways. And that's actually what the Kathy Griffin thing is. Kathy's treating her to something and they had a hilarious show. They went to her show and they've been friends over the years. But the most important thing is that even going into this trial, I would have bought that up as a defense lawyer. Is this not a conflict? Like, why are you putting a documentary out right before we're about to go to trial for this? And again, freedom of speech. Can you stop her from doing that? But is there motive for something like this? So it's just, I don't have the mental capacity. I don't have the mental capacity today, guys. I can't do it with you. Up one, are we having a kid? Is it a son? Eyelet says, did Donald Trump actually write all those 11 checks? That's my point. Did he? Did he do it? No, did he? But did he do it? Maximus says the last couple of months alone has been a roller coaster. It has. It has. Edwin says we are now ham sandwiches. Rex says bet $100 Trump gets convicted and Diddy gets acquitted. Wow. Can you guys imagine that? What happens to Diddy? What happens to Diddy? I get mom-like, you know. I do. All right, guys, let me go back to supers. We're going to read a few more and then we're going to go. Shout out to the one Lo-Fi. I think it's a she. She is back. She says, AV, you are really good. Have you thought about doing some legal reaction videos? I do them. I did 2 yesterday. I did 2. 1 featured lead, but here's the thing. You guys don't get notified when we put this work out. You get notified when I stream, but you don't get notified of the regular things. I put a banger out on Diddy last night. And here's the best part. My editor is so good. He's just like, hey, we're about to publish. Is there anything else we should include? And then I checked the news. I was like, God damn it. The grand jury convened on Diddy. We got to put that in. You know, this is what happens in the day of a day in the life of the content creator. If you guys follow me on Instagram, if you don't, follow me now. Because like I said, I'm going to do a Q&A. I'm tired, but I'll do it in the morning. Like, what do you want? What questions do you want me to answer over the weekend? Bring you closer to my life. Like as a creator, as a person, because we're all still people too, right? But yeah, I have a legal reaction video too to Nathan Wade's shenanigans all week. He was on the news and it was funny. It was funny. So check it out, the one Lo-Fi. And again, content creator, if anybody is hanging around, one of the mods, drop her link in the chat. That would be fantastic. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out because it's a lot. It's been a day. But I wanted to make sure that we popped on here and had a conversation about this. If you're watching it on replay, your opinion matters too. What do you think about today's verdict? What do you think about it? And I don't want you to pick a side. If you do, that's okay. But when it comes to this, what do you think this means for the future? I'm going to pop out of here. We got some content coming. I'm moving to state. Bear with me, guys. We're going to get some stuff out, but bear with me. Stay safe out there. I will see you in the next one. Bye.